Amnesty International is accusing the Nigerian government of impunity and incompetence over the farmer-herdsman clashes across the country. The country director of Amnesty International, Osai Ojigo, is calling attention to what she calls government inaction, which has escalated the situation. Amnesty International is alleging that more than 3,641 persons have died between 2016 to date. She was speaking at the launch of a report titled Harvest of Deaths in the nation's capital, Abuja.
Burnt houses. These are the remains in communities which have suffered clashes between farmers and herders. Over 3,641 persons are reported to have died across the 5 states of Benue, Adamawa, Kaduna, Plateau and Taraba. To x-ray the impact of the clashes, Amnesty International launches a report to highlight the level of damage caused by the clashes in the last 3 years.
Since 2016, both sides in the conflict have increasingly sought to destroy each other's livelihood, with herders setting fire to farms and farmers engaging in cattle rustling.
The report picks holes in the response of security agencies to affected communities and recommends a quick turnaround to reduce further destruction.
What I just want to call on the government is that Amnesty International is not engaging in any undermining or sabotage, but rather helping government and Nigerian people to understand the implication of this continued violence that has been killing, that has been destroying our communities.
A farmer and a herder speak on how the clashes have affected their lives.
Within our community, we lost more than 250 farmers as a result of this clash. And not only farmers have been killed, we have pastors too. Churches have been burned, houses destroyed, farm destroyed.
Most of the times, these crises are being motivated by criminals to perpetrate their criminal acts.
The humanitarian crisis caused by the incessant clashes of herders and farmers is on the rise, and officials of Amnesty International have advised the government to implement some of the recommendations to ensure a return of peace in the affected communities.
Meanwhile, the presidency has accused Amnesty International of bias in its coverage of happenings in the country, especially as it relates to security matters. In a statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Mr. Garba Shehu, the federal government frowned on the role of the organization in the war against terrorism in the Northeast. The statement says, quote, "The obvious bias and inaccuracies in Amnesty International's recent country report on Nigeria risks Amnesty's reputation as an impartial international organization." President Buhari appeals to the leadership of the Amnesty International to scrutinize its advocacy in Nigeria, especially as it relates to the war against terrorism, end of quote. The statement also alleges that the operations of the organization in the country appear to be aimed at frustrating the efforts of the military. Brigadier General Usman's comment was released shortly before Amnesty released its report. And staying with the Amnesty story, the Nigerian army is also accusing the human rights group of working to destabilize the country. This allegation is contained in the statements from the Director, Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Sani Usman, who claims it's based on credible information. According to the statement, the Nigerian branch of Amnesty International has deviated from the core values, principles and objectives of the global organization. The Army spokesman says Amnesty has engaged in, quote, fabrication of fictitious allegations of human rights abuses against the Nigerian security forces, clandestine sponsorship of dissident groups, as well as unfounded allegations against the leadership of the Nigerian military, end of quote. He adds that Amnesty International's efforts include using the Boko Haram conflicts, the Islamic movement in Nigeria, and the clashes between farmers and herders. The comment was released shortly before Amnesty released its recent report today and warned that the army would call for the closure of their offices in Nigeria if this recklessness continues. The army had suspended the activities of UNICEF in the Northeast last week Friday, but shortly after lifted the suspension following the intervention of well-meaning Nigerians. The former lecturer of Obafemi Awolowo University, Professor Richard Akindele, who is standing trial before a federal high court in Osogbo for demanding sex from his student Monica Osage, has been sentenced to 2 years in prison. Professor Akindele changed his plea from not guilty to guilty earlier today. The lecturer was dragged to court by the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission on charges of corruptly demanding sexual benefits from Ms. Osage in exchange for marks. The judge had earlier rejected a suspended sentence and plea bargain, which his counsel had pleaded for, noting that suspended sentences and plea bargain could be premised and should be premised on public interest. The judge also frowned on the gravity of the offence the convict committed, adding that someone should be used as a scapegoat without letting the issue of sexual harassment in tertiary institutions continue. His lawyer had earlier pleaded with the court to temper justice with mercy in sentencing his client. Cross over to Abuja now. Here's Ibrahim Adra. Ibrahim?
Well, many thanks, Ijoma. President Muhammadu Buhari has said that it is important that Nigerians remember the achievements of his stewardship to the country. President Muhammadu Buhari was speaking on the occasion of his 76th birthday anniversary after a military guard of honor was mounted for him at the forecourt of the presidential villa in Abuja.
Well, I'm impressed with it. They have put a lot of time behind it, and I thank them very much. I appreciate it very much indeed.
What will Nigerians expect from you going forward?
Well, I hope we will keep reminding Nigerians what we have done, how we made the country, what we are able to do from the time we came in to now with the resources available to us.
Well, happy birthday anniversary to President Muhammadu Buhari. Meanwhile, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Atiku Abubakar, has met with some Nigerian youths and supporters of his party in Lagos. At the town hall meeting, Mr. Abubakar promised that if elected as president, he will appoint a youth of not more than 30 years old as Minister of Youth. Atiku says it is incumbent on the present crop of leaders in Nigeria to mentor the younger generation, and the best way to achieve that, according to him, is to appoint youth who are brilliant into top government positions and allow them to learn the ropes. He adds that 40% of his government, if elected, will be youth. And the internal bickering in the All Progressive Congress in Lagos may have been settled, at least for now, over the ticket of the party in the governorship election in the state, after the incumbent Governor Akinwumi Ambode lost a chance to return to Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Today at the party secretariat in Lagos, the Governor Akinwumi Ambode raised the hands of Mr. Sanwo-Olu and his running mate, Obafemi Hamzat, in a show of support for the duo in the governorship race in Lagos State. The event had the leader of the party and former Governor Bola Tinubu and other leaders of the party in attendance, as they say they will work together for the party's victory at the polls next year. The vice presidential candidate of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, Mr. Jerry Chukwueke, has criticized the exclusion of the All Progressive Grand Alliance from the debate organized by the Nigeria Election Debate Group in conjunction with the Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria. At the news conference in Abuja, Mr. Chukwueke says ABGA, as the third largest party in Nigeria, with a sitting governor and several legislators, both at the national and state levels, ought not to be denied the opportunity of presenting its agenda to the Nigerian electorate. Meanwhile, the Nigeria Elections Debate Group, NEDG, had said that the parties for the debate were picked through an independently administered multi-stage process. The statement also explained that NEDG and BON were not influenced or induced by anyone to include or exclude any political party from the debate.
The All Progressives Grand Alliance, ABGA, is the third largest party in Nigeria. Produced governors, a model governor of Anambra State, clear roadmap performing on the ground, at least 11 members of the National Assembly, scores of members of its respective state houses of assembly, and councillors. About 3 of the parties on the podium on Friday, and I was there. 3 of those parties don't even have a councillor. It's important that what's on the ground be a major consideration. Spread. How many legislators, national, state, councillors, spread of party, registration, voting capacity. Those are the real issues. I understand social media and polling online But that, at best, in my view, should only have been one indicator. But having said that, I have no issues with Bond and the organizers. I just think that they can do it better, and I hope that they can do it better.